What's good, YouTube fans? I'm just bringing a brand new video. It's NFL Week 6 thoughts and predictions today. I'm still thinking of a name for it, so right now it's still just the NFL Week whatever thoughts and predictions, but here we go. Of course, the first game we're going to talk about is a Thursday night game. It was Chicago versus Washington. Washington won this game 12-7. The only thing I really have much to say about it is Justin Fields does not look really good at all. I don't know if it's the offensive coordinator or the coach or what, but he looks terrible. He's getting balls batted down. He's not making great decisions. I mean, he looks pretty bad. And it doesn't help that Washington is an absolutely awful team too. So this makes it look even worse. And they were at home in Chicago, so it's just bad. So that's all I have to say about that Thursday night game. It wasn't much. It wasn't like last week. I had a lot more. So the next game is the Browns-Patriots. Bailey Zappi, man, he is that guy, bro. Look at him. He's too nice with it now. He really is coming for Mac Jones' spot, and that's not a joke. I don't see a reason Bill Belichick would take Zappi out the way he's playing. He had over 300 yards passing. I mean, he looks good. He's 2-0 now. Really, I don't see why you're putting Mac Jones in. He's going to be out for a couple more weeks anyway. And the way Zappi's playing, he's playing good enough to win, and that's all you're really asking for. So I don't see a reason why you would put Mac Jones in. Now, on the other side of the ball, the Browns, man, they look awful. They are struggling hard right now. They're 2-4 now. I mean, they look bad this year. Brissett has not looked all that great. I mean, he makes a couple plays, but it's nothing crazy. I don't see how Watson coming back later in the year is going to help. I think they're going to be too far down. He's going to be super rusty for not playing for basically 2 years, and I don't think the Browns, there's no way they make the playoffs this year. So the next two games we're going to talk about are the two New York teams, man. They are looking great this year somehow, some way. It seems like all these years of them being awful, they're both great. 5-1 Giants, 4-2 Jets. It's crazy. The first one out of the two that we're going to talk about, though, is going to be the Jets-Packers game. I mean, the Packers look absolutely awful this year. I thought they looked bad against the Giants last week, but I mean, they solidified it by playing even worse against the Jets somehow. But I got to give props to the Jets, man. They look good. The defense looks good. Sauce Gardner is that guy. The offense has been playing well. I mean, they're a complete team right now. Saleh's got them playing well, and hey, I give them props. Every one of the Jets wins so far. I did not think they were going to win except maybe the Steelers game, but I mean, they've been looking good. They've been looking great. I mean, all these players look like they're really playing hard for this coaching staff, and I mean, I give them big props. On the other side, though, I mean, I don't know how great of a coach LaFleur is, but man, whoever their special teams coach is awful. That special teams let up a block punt and a block field goal. I mean, Jesus, it's terrible. The punt led to a touchdown, so you lose 3 points, and then you give 7 on the punt. It's absolutely terrible. The Packers got something to figure out. And for Sauce Gardner wearing that cheese head at the end of the game, I loved it. It was funny as hell. Now on to the next New York team. The Giants beat the Ravens in New Jersey. The Ravens cannot hold a lead. That is the third game they've had a double-digit lead, and they've blown it. They've had double-digit leads in every single game this year, and 3 of them that they lost, they've blown it. So I don't know what's wrong with them. What I've seen, it seems like the defense just cannot hold at the end of the game. They struggle heavily, and the offense seems to just stall out in the second half. And it seems like Lamar's trying to do too much to try to overcome that defense, but he just can't get it done, and it makes him look even worse. But for the Giants, man, they keep winning. They're 5-1. As an Eagles fan, I didn't see this coming. As a regular football fan, I didn't see this coming. But one thing I will say, maybe I'm biased because I'm an Eagles fan, but I still don't think they're legit. I truly believe they will still win 7 games. Somehow they have 5 wins, and I still think they're going to win 7 games. Until they win 8 games and prove me wrong, I'm going to believe they're only going to win 7 games. They'll find a way. I don't care. They'll find a way. But until that point, they're looking good. They're 5-1. They beat the Packers last week. They beat the Ravens this week. But at this point, I think it's more to say about the Packers and the Ravens than the Giants. Sorry, Giants fans. So the final game I want to talk about before we get to the speed run is the Bucks versus Pittsburgh game. Pittsburgh ended up winning that game 20-18, which I love to see. Fuck Tom Brady. I don't care what you say. Brady just doesn't seem as invested in this team as he does years prior. Apparently, he went to a wedding for Robert Kraft on Friday and joined the team late Saturday. So clearly, he's not there for it this year. Yes, Brady's still invested, but he's not as invested as years prior, and I think it showed on the field Sunday. I mean, you only could score 18 points on a team that just let up 38 to the Bills. I know the Bills are the Bills, but I mean, you're Tom Brady. You're supposed to be that guy, so I don't see how you can only score 18. I mean, it was a great win for the Steelers. I'll give them that. But, I mean, one thing I can say is Matt Canada's offense is awful. It's really bad. His play calling's terrible, and I think it makes Pickett and Trubisky both look worse than what they really are. I'm not saying Trubisky's a great quarterback. I'm just saying that he's not as bad as what Matt Canada's offense makes him look to be. I think he could be better, but I think it's Kenny Pickett time anyway, so don't even play. It's Kenny Pickett time. I think Pickett looks like a fine quarterback. I think he couldn't be solid, but really, if I'm the Steelers, I'm probably looking to move off him this year, and I'm probably going to draft a guy if I have a really high pick. So, and one last thing before I'm done with this game is Brady was yelling at his guys on the sideline at the linemen, and that's just another bad look. I think the guys are like, he's not with us, and he's yelling at us like we're the problem. I think that's going to make some problems in the locker room. But that's all I have for that game, and we're going to go right into the speed run where we go to the rest of the 1 o'clocks and some of the 4 o'clock games and go pretty fast on my thoughts on them. The first game is Atlanta versus San Francisco. Atlanta blew the brakes off the Niners. I mean, they had them looking terrible. Mariota's playing his ass off for the Atlanta Falcons right now, and hey, he's got them winning a couple games. They're 3-3. They're looking to win a division, honestly. The next game is the Colts versus the Jags. They won 34-27. I mean, the way they won was absolutely insane. Matt Ryan threw it up, and I don't think he even was trying to hit the receiver, it looked like. And he caught it, got a touchdown, and that was basically the game. I still think the Jags are going to be good this year, but hey, that's a good one for the Colts, especially after last week. The next game is the Vikings versus the Dolphins. The Vikings won 24-16. The Vikings looked like how they're supposed to. The Dolphins had a rookie quarterback, and then he ended up getting hurt, and then Bridgewater came back in. The Vikings just handled their business, won the game as they're supposed to. But the Dolphins, they got to find a way to get back on track. I think Tua is going to be playing next week, so they should find a way to get back on track. They should start winning again. And the last for the 1 o'clock games was the Saints versus Bengals. The Bengals won 30-26. They were down for a majority of the game, and they ended up coming back to beat the Saints and win. I think the Bengals have found their stride again. I think they're going to be back. I think they're going to be fine the rest of the season. I think the first couple games were just a fluke. Plus, Joe Burrow is fully healthy from his surgery from the offseason, so he's really ready to go again. The Saints, on the other hand, were at home. You blow that lead late in the game. I mean, that hurts a lot, and they got to find a way to get back on track. The next game to start the 4 o'clock games was the Rams versus Panthers. The Rams easily beat the Panthers. The Panthers had P.J. Walker in as quarterback. If you thought Baker Mayfield was bad, I mean, he's even worse. I mean, their quarterback situation is absolutely terrible. Somehow the Panthers had 4 quarterbacks on their team that were all basically the same person, and 3 of them got hurt out of the 4. It's absolutely insane. I still don't think the Rams are back on track. I think they just were able to play at home. You beat a crappy Panthers team. It was 10-10 at one point. It shouldn't have even been that close anyway. But they're still struggling. They still need to find a way to get back to what they were last year. I think that Super Bowl hangover is real, and it's on them right now. But I think McVay's a smart guy. He'll figure out something, and they'll still end up making the playoffs. Whether it's winning the division or a wild card, I think they'll still make it. And the next game is the Seahawks versus Cardinals. Seattle won 19-9. Geno Smith is still that guy. He's still putting up his numbers. He's that bull. Cardinals are still struggling. They seem to be a hit-or-miss team this year right now. Problem is they've had more misses than hits this season, and normally the Cardinals are really good in the beginning of the season, and at the end of the season they start to tail off and look really bad. But this year somehow they're not even doing good in the beginning of the season, so if they tail off in the end of the season like they normally do, it's going to be a rough year for Cardinals fans. And that leads us to the game of the week. The Bills versus Chiefs is the one everyone's been waiting for. The Bills were able to hold on 24-20 against the Chiefs. The first thing I've noticed when I was watching that game was at the end of the half, the Chiefs were down 3, had 12 seconds instead of 13 seconds like the playoff game to get a field goal, and they still got it. So the Bills defense still can't hold the Chiefs for 12 seconds just to get a field goal. Now, the difference this year was at the end of the game, they were able to stop, and they had a 4-point lead, and they got a big pick. It was a really bad play by Mahomes. He normally doesn't make that type of play. He normally is smart enough to not throw that, but he tried to force it, and the Bills picked him off, and that ended the game. One thing I gotta say is Von Miller, man, he resurrected that defense. They look absolutely fantastic now, and Von Miller looks great this season. The last thing I'll say about that game is I think the Bills absolutely needed that game. I think they wanted that way more. I think the Chiefs just look at that as another regular season game. They knew it was important, but it was more like we have to win because we have to win every game, not because it's the Bills. We have to beat them. I think the Bills looked at it like we need to beat them. They still remembered the playoff game. They needed that win, and they got it, so good for them. That leads us to the Sunday night game. My Eagles versus the Dallas Cowboys. Fuck them Cowboys. Sorry, I had to say it. The Eagles won 26-17. They basically had the game handled the entire game except the third quarter. Started off hot. I mean, Micah Parsons couldn't do anything. CeeDee Lamb couldn't do anything. They made Cooper Rush look absolutely terrible. That game made the people Monday morning talk about how bad Cooper Rush is and that they need Dak Prescott back. When literally a week ago they were just saying how there's a quarterback controversy. All of a sudden one loss and he's done. Take him out of there. And yet somehow still the Eagles are getting no credit because, they barely beat a backup quarterback when a week ago they were saying how great Cooper Rush was. All I know is the Eagles had a game plan for Michael Parsons in the first half and they executed that perfectly. The only time he looked good at all was in the third quarter when Lane Johnson was out the game. Other than that, I mean, he wasn't really able to do anything. He only had 3 pressures, and that was without Lane Johnson in the game. The Eagles in the first half looked absolutely fantastic. They went up 20-3, and the only reason the Cowboys even got 3 was because their special teams is terrible, and they let up a big kick return. The third quarter is really where it went downhill for the Eagles. I mean, the Cowboys were running all over them. The defense looked terrible. The Eagles' offense came out flat. They looked really bad. It looked like they lost their life. But as soon as the Cowboys got it to 20-17, I don't know what happened with the Eagles, but they decided, hey, let's put it on. We're going to score a touchdown. Don't even worry. The offense went right back to how it was in the first half, drove down easily, not a problem at all, and they scored a touchdown, and they iced the game. And the only other thing I want to say about that game, man, is fuck them Cowboys. Go Birds! And for the final game of the week, it was the Chargers versus the Broncos. In the first half, man, Russ was finally cooking. He's been awful all season, but he finally cooked in the first half. But it was not enough to get it done against the Chargers. They ended up winning in overtime, 19-16. It was an absolutely phenomenal play by number 36 on the Chargers. Pushing the Broncos player into his own teammate to force the fumble on the punt return was absolutely fantastic play. I don't care if you like it or you don't like it. It's part of the game, and man, was it a smart play by him. And that's what ultimately set up for the field goal to win the game, so great for him, great for the team. I'm still not sure what to think about the Broncos yet, because in the first half they looked like they started to get it going again, but then the second half it seemed like it fell off again. It seems like there's still flashes of the old Russ, but then it comes back to the new one, and he still kind of like doesn't have it as much, it seems. But that's really all I have for that game, so that's going to end the Week 6 thoughts and predictions. If you guys enjoyed that, we'll be back next week for Week 7 thoughts and predictions. And if you haven't already, click that like button, subscribe if you're new, and comment if you like. Peace.